picture this. You're standing on Earth, and the year is 2197.
Okay, so a good ways into the future.
Right. And you look up at the night sky, and for the first time in human history, there is, like, absolutely nothing to be afraid of.
Which is a nice change of pace for us.
Yeah, seriously. Earth is completely united. Mars isn't just some dusty colony anymore. It's this thriving, bustling hub of civilization.
Oh, wow, yeah.
We've got colonies stretching all the way out to Saturn, mining cities digging into asteroids, and humanity has basically looked at its long, bloody history and finally said, we are done with that. We genuinely believe we've achieved this permanent age of peace.
It's the ultimate utopian dream, right? The idea that we finally outgrown our own destructive nature, we managed our resource scarcity, and just settled into this harmonious existence across the solar system.
Exactly. But today on the deep dive, we're looking at a scenario that just, well, it rips that dream to shreds in an instant.
It really does.
So, okay, let's unpack this. The mission of today's deep dive is to explore a really fascinating 30-minute HFY story, Humanity Fuck Yeah story, called The Vanguard of Humanity.
A great text, by the way. Very intense.
Super intense. And our goal here is to use this narrative source to understand a really profound question. Like, what happens to a society that has unlearned war when the universe suddenly knocks on his door demanding total subjugation?
Yeah, we're looking at human nature, adaptability, and survival. And what's fascinating here is how the author uses this absolute, overwhelming force to immediately shatter humanity's illusion of safety.
Right, because when you spend generations practicing peace, your societal immune system, it essentially just shuts down.
Exactly. You lose the cultural muscle memory for existential dread. You just don't expect the worst anymore.
Well, you definitely lose it right up until something bizarre happens near Pluto.
Oh, yeah, the inciting incident.
Yeah. Deep space observatories start picking up these massive objects drifting into the solar system. And at first, the scientific consensus is incredibly mundane.
They think it's comets or something.
Yeah, rogue comets, or maybe some strange localized gravitational anomaly. But then the sensor resolution clears up, the data parses, and the reality hits them.
It's not comets.
No, they are ships. Thousands of them. It is the largest fleet ever recorded, just dropping directly into our backyard.
And we need to be very clear about who is piloting those ships. We are talking about the Carfax Imperium.
Right. These are not friendly neighbors.
Not at all. They are not explorers, and they certainly aren't diplomats. They are 8-foot-tall reptilian warriors who have spent centuries systematically conquering hundreds of civilizations.
Hundreds. Let that sink in.
Yeah. They control thousands of star systems. They operate on a logistical and militaristic scale that humanity, even at its most violent in the past, can barely even comprehend.
So the United Earth government obviously goes into a total panic, as you would expect.
Okay.
Markets crash instantly. Emergency civilian fleets try to scramble. And everyone is asking, are we alone? And, well, 3 days later, they get their answer.
And it is terrifying.
It's a single system-wide transmission that just chills you to the bone. No preamble, no greetings, just, quote, "We are the Carfax Imperium. You now belong to us."
That's it. What's fascinating here is how that absolute overwhelming force operates. The Carfax, they don't ask for a treaty.
No negotiations.
Right. They don't offer an exchange of culture or technology. They offer absolute subjugation because mathematically they know they can enforce it.
So it sets up this incredible stress test for human sociology.
Yeah.
How does a united, peaceful Earth pivot to face an overwhelming, instantaneous threat?
A threat that only speaks the language of total, unyielding war.
Yeah. And, well, the tragic reality is they pivot terribly. I mean, Earth does try to fight back. They don't just roll over immediately.
Or they send out a fleet.
But when you look at the tactical breakdown of the initial slaughter, the Battle of Neptune, the statistics are just horrifying. The entire engagement lasts exactly 17 minutes.
17 minutes. I mean, in the context of a naval or orbital engagement, that isn't a battle. That is an execution.
Exactly. Humanity sends 57 of its absolute best warships to intercept the Carfax near Neptune. 57 state-of-the-art ships go out. Only 3 come back.
It's just a total wipeout.
The Carfax weapons slice through our heavy destroyers like they're made of wet tissue paper. There's no drawn-out dogfights, no brilliant maneuvers, just entire human crews, thousands of people vanishing in instantaneous flashes of blue light.
It really highlights the sheer technological chasm between, a Tier 1 planetary defense force and a multi-system galactic empire.
Right, it's like bringing a paper shield to a laser fight.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
The Carthax weapons are likely using spatial shearing or advanced directed energy that completely ignores human kinetic armor. To them, humanity looks like an anthill.
just primitive and insignificant.
Primitive, insignificant, and highly predictable.
But, okay, I have to push back on the human command decisions here, because this is where the logic of the source material starts to fall apart for me.
Oh, how so?
Well, if humanity was so completely, hopelessly outmatched, I mean, if 54 of our best ships were literally vaporized in 17 minutes, why didn't President Sarah Mitchell just surrender right then and there to save lives?
It seems like the logical move, sure.
Right. Instead, she goes on this system-wide broadcast and gives this incredibly defiant speech telling the Carthax, "We will not surrender." Why make that speech and risk billions of civilians when the math proves you absolutely cannot win?
It looks like political hubris on the surface, doesn't it? But you have to look at what was happening beneath the surface, literally.
Okay.
The military leaders weren't delusional. They ran the simulations. They knew they couldn't prevent defeat with their current forces. President Mitchell's defiance was a highly calculated stalling tactic.
Stalling for what, though? The fleet was gone. An extra hour doesn't magically produce a new armada out of thin air.
No, but it allows for the activation sequence of something that was already there. This raises an important question. What does a supposedly peaceful society do when its primary defenses fail instantly?
Oh, man. They fall back on their darkest secrets.
Exactly. The Carthax viewed humanity as transparent. They thought they saw the entirety of our military capability at Neptune.
Right, but they didn't.
They didn't realize that humanity had been hiding something absolutely massive from the rest of the universe and from its own citizens.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because while the general public was busy patting itself on the back for achieving this golden era of peace, a select shadow coalition of engineers and leaders were planning for the apocalypse.
The ultimate contingency plan.
Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains on Earth, in a subterranean facility dubbed Project Horizon, they had been building something for 70 years. The UES Vanguard.
And to simply call the Vanguard a ship almost does a disservice to the staggering scale of the engineering involved here.
Oh, it's an absolute behemoth. The specs are almost hard to wrap your head around. It's a
Yeah.
warship 20 kilometers long.
Just massive.
For context, you're looking at a vessel roughly the length of the entire island of Manhattan. It's fitted with experimental antimatter reactors, advanced AI, weapons that violate every peace treaty Earth ever signed.
Right.
But what I don't understand is the logistics. Like, how do you hide a 20-kilometer-long industrial project from your own global government for 7 decades?
Yeah.
The heat signature alone would be insane.
You're right to question that, because hiding it is half the genius of Project Horizon. You mask the thermal outlet by sinking the facility near active tectonic fault lines and venting the excess heat into natural geothermal systems.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's clever.
Yeah, and you funnel black budget resources through thousands of dummy corporations, so no single auditor ever sees the full picture. But the engineering isn't even the most fascinating part. It's the psychological contradiction in the source text.
What do you mean?
Well, Earth was supposedly in an age of peace, right? The public genuinely believed war was a relic of our barbaric past. Yet, for 7 decades, a handful of leaders secretly poured astronomical resources into building the ultimate war machine.
So if they truly believed in peace, why build a planet-sized gun in the basement?
Because it speaks to a deep-seated human paranoia. Or brilliant foresight, depending on your perspective. It suggests we never truly believed we were safe. We built floating gardens, but we armed ourselves for Armageddon just in case.
We fundamentally didn't trust our own peace, and it turns out that paranoia was entirely justified.
The universe delivered on the hostility.
They sure did.
Uh,
So standard defenses collapse. The Carthax Emperor is broadcasting to every screen on the planet, wearing this shimmering golden armor, demanding capitulation.
the darkest hour.
Yeah. And right at that moment of absolute despair, the Vanguard actually emerges near the moon. The tectonic plates shift, the camouflage drops, and this 20-kilometer-long Leviathan just rips out of hiding. Its blue engines are burning so bright.
It fundamentally changes the psychological landscape of the invasion. Up until this second, the Carthax were doing, pest control. Now they are facing a peer-level threat.
And Captain James Walker is standing on the bridge looking at thousands of alien ships, and he opens a system-wide channel. He doesn't give a philosophical speech. He just smiles and says, "Let's remind them why humans are dangerous."
It's a profound shift in identity. He entirely discards the utopian facade. He leans directly into humanity's violent, predatory past.
And he backs it up instantly.
Mm.
The Vanguard vaporizes a Carthax battleship in one shot. These alien commanders were literally laughing a moment before, but then Vanguard fires again and again. Within minutes, 20 battleships are gone.
The shock value is immense. It wipes the smiles right off their faces and stalls their momentum.
But wait, let's look at the math again. One ship, even a 20-kilometer one, can't beat thousands of ships on raw firepower alone.
No, absolutely not. They'd eventually swarm it.
Right. So how do they actually turn the tide? It couldn't have just been heavy cannons.
It wasn't. The actual turning point was human creativity. It was our capacity for rapid, chaotic adaptation.
Yes, the total breaking of the rules of war. The source text notes that Carthax commanders followed strict, highly standardized military doctrines. They were incredibly rigid.
Right. When you govern a galactic empire that spans thousands of star systems, you have to rely on predictability. Standardization is the only way a central command can execute campaigns on a macro scale.
But humans threw the rational manual out the airlock. Human fighter pilots started launching impossible attacks. Engineers were rewiring weapons mid-battle to overload them, doing things that voided every safety protocol.
And the human AIs were adapting faster than the enemy computers could process.
Exactly. I was thinking about it like this. The Carthax are like a grandmaster playing a highly rigid, perfectly calculated game of chess. And the humans are sitting across the table and they just decide to light the board on fire and start eating the pieces.
That's an amusing visual, but let's break down why eating the pieces actually wins a space battle.
Okay, lay it on me.
The Carthax targeting computers rely on probability matrices. They calculate the optimal trajectory for a human fighter to survive, and they fire at that projected space. But what happens if the human pilot executes a maneuver that has a 99% probability of killing them, just to disable a sensor node?
The computer doesn't predict it, because a rational actor wouldn't do it.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, humanity weaponized unpredictability. We took chaos and turned it into a tactical strategy.
We made it impossible for them to predict our movements, which drastically increased their casualties. We used their perfection against them.
Precisely. The very doctrine that allowed them to conquer a galaxy became their fatal vulnerability.
But chaos has its limits, right?
Yeah.
You can be wildly unpredictable. But eventually, raw power reasserts itself. And the Carthax Emperor, watching his pristine fleet falter, decides to stop playing games.
He pulls out the ultimate trump card.
Yeah. We get this terrifying 10-minute countdown. The Emperor reveals a planet killer hidden in the center of his fleet. It starts charging up, targeting Earth.
The stakes instantly jump to total annihilation.
Exactly. But the emotional weight of this moment is just incredible. Because Earth doesn't face that countdown alone. Reinforcements arrive.
And it isn't just the military.
No, it's the colonists. People from Mars, the icy outposts on Europa, the floating habitats of Titan, the asteroid belt, mining ships, heavy cargo haulers, whatever they could strap a gun to.
They join a hopeless fight simply because Earth was home.
Right. And no one embodies that grim reality more than Captain Walker. He sees the planet killer charging, and he launches a suicide charge directly at the charging weapon.
A masterclass in the weaponization of sacrifice.
It's brutal. The Vanguard is accelerating, drawing fire. And to keep it moving, human pilots are intentionally ramming alien cruisers. They are sacrificing themselves, physically throwing their ships into plasma torpedoes just to clear a path.
And from an analytical standpoint, this is the exact moment the Carthax psychology breaks. They are watching a species willfully annihilate itself just to land a counterpunch.
Finally, Vanguard hits firing range. Walker gives the command to unleash everything. The main cannon fires a beam brighter than the sun. It strikes the planet killer, and the detonation is so massive it wipes out hundreds of alien vessels in the shockwave.
The physical destruction is huge, but the psychological destruction is what matters. For the first time in centuries, the Carthax experienced fear. Their morale shattered because they realized humanity refused to die.
Yeah, the alien chain of command totally collapses. With the superweapon gone, the 72-hour battle concludes. The surviving alien ships tuck tail and flee the solar system.
A complete rout.
Earth celebrates with ringing bells and illuminated night skies. Humanity survived against impossible odds. So what does this all mean?
The galactic aftermath is profound.
Right. Historians across the stars are looking at this. What's the core takeaway here?
The final lesson from the text's epilogue is that the Carthax underestimated humanity. They thought we were primitive and easy prey. But the new warning whispered across the galaxy is, never invade Earth. Never corner humans. because humans fight hardest when they have something worth protecting.
Wow. Which leaves me with a lingering, almost unsettling thought for you to chew on. We started this deep dive talking about an era where humanity wanted to put its violent past behind it.
Right, the utopian dream.
But to survive, we had to unleash our absolute destructive fury. So if humanity's defining reputation across the stars is now one of terrifying unpredictability and an identity as the monsters you shouldn't corner.
Will we ever be able to form peaceful alliances?
Exactly. Will we ever be able to form trusting alliances with other alien species? Or are we doomed to be forever isolated by the very fear that saved us?
It's the ultimate paradox of survival.
Something to keep you up at night next time you look at the stars. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.